A celebration of 30 years of international ministry at Forest Hills Baptist Church, 1977 to 2007. You have changed my view of Americans, the tall, handsome young man from the Middle East wrote his teacher in 2007. The goal of international ministries at Forest Hills Baptist Church is twofold: to win people to Christ and to win friends for Christ. Both are done all during each week. As we look back over 30 years of this unique cross-culture and ESL ministry, we see a mature ministry continuing the vision first begun by Bill Hearn and his wife Nancy. These returned missionaries built on the openness to help that Gordon and Cecilia Middleton engendered when they began the Chinese Bible study in 1961. Nancy and her daughter Vera came home to Raleigh because of the Lebanese War. Bill joined them as soon as he finished teaching his seminary classes in Beirut. Early in 1977, Nancy Hearn received a plea from Fred Ohl's school. They had Arabic-speaking children who desperately needed help, so she decided to help out, and she volunteered with the children until school ended for the summer. She wanted to continue at Fred Ohl's, but they refused because school was out. Nancy left quite perturbed and looked across the street at her church. She walked over and asked Dr. John Lawrence if our church could help. He said, of course, and it began. 8 children came regularly. Nancy Martin and Vera also helped all summer. When school resumed, the children still needed tutoring help. Nancy asked church members if they would help, and several agreed. A training workshop was given that fall. These were the humble beginnings of the ministry that today touches 800 to 1,000 internationals in Raleigh each week. In June of 1978, Nancy took the Home Mission Board training, and there she learned about a woman who was also active and trained in this ministry. Nancy returned home from the 10 days of training and contacted Glenda Reese. They met at the church and began to work together with a Cambodian refugee family. The first ESL workshop at Forest Hills was held in September, and many volunteers took the training. And so the ministry began to grow. The International Council Committee minutes indicate that in the fall of 1979, there was an average of 55 international students from 14 countries and about 40 tutors. At the first Thanksgiving banquet, there were 123 people present from 14 countries. A need was being met. In 1979, the committee began to work on a 5-year plan. When asked what the most pressing need was, Nancy and Glenda both answered that they needed help. A proposal was made to secure a part-time minister who could help with the internationals. Davis E. Frober came to serve this need in July of 1981. Early in the ministry, Nancy Hearn felt the pull to teach English using the Bible and Bible materials. Since these were not readily available, she wrote her own material. For many weeks in 1978, Nancy sat in the Youth Annex building waiting for an international to come for English Bible classes. Her perseverance paid off. The International Sunday School has been part of our church for 29 years now. Attendance varies and the ministry continues. Refugees from Cambodia, Vietnam, and Laos were coming to the Raleigh area, and Forest Hills sponsored 3 refugee families and has assisted in the resettlement of others. In the early 1980s, Reverend Hearn began talking about the need for those we helped to find Christ. So we began a prayer meeting early each Monday morning before we went to work. Each person brought their prayer requests for their students in 6 written copies. As each walked in, the copies were quietly distributed. The group prayed silently for all the requests. Then they slipped out to go about the work of the day. From this came believers in Christ. Baptisms began to follow. Prayer remains the foundation of this ministry. Many Wednesday nights find the teachers in prayer before they teach. Ethnic churches also needed to have a place. In 1987, Our African ministry began under the direction of Yinka Joe Laoso, a student at Southeastern Seminary. The first African Baptist Mission Church was founded on September 11, 1988, with Yinka as its pastor. In 1981, when the Raleigh Chinese Christian Church moved to their own building, the students from mainland China had transportation problems. So Jane and Robert Pan felt called to serve the mainland Chinese students. Forest Hills and the Chinese Church joined together to form the Mainland Chinese Fellowship in 1991. On January 12, 1997, it was chartered as the Chinese Baptist Church. Because of the English classes, many of the local ethnic groups are familiar with and feel welcomed here. The Persian Language School first met at Forest Hills in 1994. In 2000, the Farsi Fellowship began when Asad Hashimi was called to minister to Farsi speakers. It is an interesting note that Asad took his English classes at Forest Hills and later came back to lead the Farsi ministry. It isn't all work. Fellowship is important. The first of approximately 40 international retreats began in 1982, the year after Dee Frober came to Forest Hills. Now, over 2,000 internationals and international team members have attended. Fun, fellowship, and some serious Bible study take place in an atmosphere of acceptance. The outside world has called Forest Hills Baptist Church, and we have responded and built relationships with many diverse groups, both public and private, from other cultures and countries. Our host team represents the face of Christian hospitality. Beginning in 1999, the International Ministry Team has sent groups to East Asia to teach English and build relationships, friendships, and help believers. In July, another team prepares to depart. From a cry for help to an Arabic-speaking missionary woman, the international ministry at Forest Hills has grown. How many thousands of people from all over the world have come into this church? We can only guess. But we do know that for many, the impact has truly been life-changing. A letter from Japan states, "Just 3 years passed since began to go to church. 2 years ago, I was baptized. At present, I hope to memorize a lot of God's words and convey God's love to many people. Every Monday, I go to Bible school. I remember you taught us about Jesus Christ. Bible changed my life. I saw light in my life. I appreciate that you led me to Jesus."